Good morning.
Hold it up a little higher.
Good morning. And I'm not used to speaking with a microphone in my hand, so this is a whole new experience with technology as well. My name is Donna Bacalor, and I work with the McDonough Law Group. We have offices here in Evergreen, and what I'm going to speak with you about this morning is the Corporate Transparency Act. I'm not sure how familiar or unfamiliar you all are with that, so I'm going to give you a basic overview, and then when we're done with my talk and probably Mr. Levine's talk, we'll have some time for questions. So, and I'm going to trust that Nancy puts up the slides. The Corporate Transparency Act is a new federal law that was put into effect January 1st, 2024. And the purpose of the act is to combat money laundering and financial crimes in the United States. That being said, whether or not the act and all of its requirements are a little bit overreaching is another point that we will get to in a little while. The act requires most businesses, not all, to report certain information to the federal government. The information can be reported through their website. Companies that were made through any sort of filing with the Secretary of State are required to file this information. That includes LLCs, corporations, not sole proprietorships because you are not created by filing anything with the Secretary of State. That being said, of course, there are 23 exceptions. However, based on the people that I've spoken to and the types of businesses that I see in our community, the only exception that will most likely apply would be if you are a 501c, you do not have to report. And secondly, if you're a large company with over 20 employees in the United States and $5 million in revenues, then you also do not have to report. The other type of companies that don't need to report are heavily regulated companies, banking, insurance, and the statute has very specific rules on which companies those are and whatnot. So if you think you're an exempt company, you need to look at that. I would probably say 90% of the companies that we work with are not going to be exempt. So once you say, okay, I'm one of those companies that has to be report, the next question is, what do I have to report? And what you have to report is the beneficial owners of your company. Once again, the statute specifically defines what's a beneficial owner. The simple part of it says if you own more than 25% or more of the company, you are a beneficial owner. The second part, not so clear, says you're also a beneficial owner if you have substantial control. So our next issue is, what is substantial control? And I see some laughing, and I agree with you. So substantial control is defined as if you are a senior officer in the company, or if you are a important decision maker, which once again is probably up for grabs. However, every company must report at least one beneficial owner. So you need to look at your company structure, the decision making, who are the senior officers, to decide who is or are your beneficial owners. And then of course they could not leave that alone. Even if you determine Mr. X is a beneficial owner, there are exceptions, and you don't have to report every single beneficial owner. The main exception that I see that will apply to most of the small companies we deal with is if an important decision maker is actually an employee directed by a beneficial owner, that employee does not have to be reported. So once we decide we're a company, we have to report. These are our beneficial owners. The next question becomes, what do we have to report? For each beneficial owner, you need to report their name, date of birth, address, and the part that most people don't like, you actually have to scan in to this website either a driver's license or passport, which is why if the beneficial owner is an employee, you might want to be like, yeah, you're an exception, because people really don't want to provide that information to the government. Regarding your company, you have to provide the name, any other names you're doing business as, the address, your EIN number, and the state of incorporation or formation, which is probably a little less invasive than providing your passport, as I see you shaking your head.
Well, they have this information.
Correct.
Just cooperate with other parts of the company so you don't take more tax dollars out of my pocket.
Yes, correct. It's not information. Right. It's not new information. It's nothing they don't already have. It's just another administrative thing that small businesses are going to have to do, which is, for lack of a better word, a pain in the ass. Sorry. And we can save the questions for the end, but you only have to do it once. However, if there's a change in ownership or a change in beneficial owner, then you have 30 days after the change to update your report. So yes, it's only once, and it's free, but you do have to do it. The Act did set certain deadlines. I was making sure we were doing good. Certain deadlines. If your company was formed before January 2024, which I'm presuming most of the companies we deal with have been, you have until the end of 2024 to make this report. If you're a newly created company in 2024, you have 90 days from the creation of your company to report. And then as we go to 2025, they're only going to give you 30 days to report. And as I said, the changes have to be reported within 30 days. That's okay, all good. And significantly, there are both criminal and civil penalties for failing to report. However, your failure must be either willful or intentional. They are saying that you can get up to 2 years in jail, $10,000 fine on the criminal end, and $500 per day on the civil end. But once again, that must be an intentional, willful unreporting, not I forgot or it's 31 days or something to that effect. So in addition to reporting the beneficial owners, and this is not on a slide, if you're a newly created company, you also have to report your company applicants, which would be the person who actually pushed the button and filed your filing with the Secretary of State forming your company, and or the person that directed them to do that. But that's only for newly created companies. So if you've been around a while, you don't need to be concerned with that part. And then just let's throw another little monkey wrench in this fun, exciting Corporate Transparency Act. There was a case that was just decided March 1st, 2024 in Alabama by the Northern District of Alabama, which held the Corporate Transparency Act unconstitutional as to a specific entity out of Alabama. Right now, the government is saying, other than that specific entity out of Alabama, y'all still have to report and do what I tell you until we change something, and nothing's been changed. We expect that will get appealed to the 11th Circuit and likely to the Supreme Court, but we will just have to wait and see what happens on that end of it. For the moment, these rules still do apply, and you still have to comply with the statute, the timing, etc., or risk your penalties. At McDonough Law, what we are offering is a consultation if you just want to go over all the questions and figure out who's my beneficial owner, what do I have to report, what do I have to do, how do I do this, for a minimal fee, and then y'all can go on and do it yourselves. And then we're also offering a bigger package where we'll go through your entities and we'll figure it all out for you and we'll file it for you, because some of our clients are owned 25% by a holding company, and that holding company is owned by 25%. So then that gets a lot more complicated. But for what it's worth, this is what you have. And when we're done speaking today, I guess we'll ask the questions at the end. I am going to hand it over to the Office of Rich Levine to talk to you about something else, which is another fun, exciting change in the federal law.
All right, thank you.